everybody, and welcome to episode number 6 of the Let's Learn Awake guitar series. Today we will be covering the third part of the Mind Beside Itself suite. It is a ballad, and it clocks in under 4 minutes, which is unheard of for a Dream Theater song. And it's predominantly acoustic guitar, and it deals with the subject of a silent man, a silent individual, somebody who does not speak even when spoken to. Now, I've read a lot of things online about how this could have something to do with John Petrucci's faith when he's on top of Mount Petruvius, praying to the stars and the heavens and controlling the temperature of the sun. But I don't think that the silent man is Jesus, just like he wants us to think. I believe that the silent man is lurking within the ranks, and might be incredibly obvious who that might be. It's a band member who I haven't been abusing like Kevin Moore. So we're going to find out who that is, and we're going to learn how to play this sucker right about now. So it is abundantly obvious that we need to use an acoustic guitar for this song, and predominantly an acoustic guitar as well. Even the solo is on the acoustic, so we're going to be using this piece of wood quite often. Now the first section of the song, which comes right in with the lyrics, verse 1 happens right out of the gate. We're playing a very simple open chord progression that goes like this. G, D, this, we'll talk about that. C add 9, F add 9, and we repeat. Okay, so here we go, and we stop. So we have a very syncopated, clearly 1990s inspired guitar strumming pattern. The best way to get the feel down on any song, let alone this one, especially if it's a basic strumming track. I don't really get a lot of opportunities to talk about basic stuff on this channel, so here's your opportunity to learn that. For strumming patterns, you want to be able to feel out the downbeats, the particular downbeats, and the upbeats as well at the right times, right? So you want the downs to feel like this, and the ups to feel like this. Okay? Just like that. 1, 2, and 3, 4. So you got to hit all those key, critical moments in the rhythm, right? 1, 2, 3, and keep on strumming like this, down, up. If you keep a down, up pattern going the entire time with your right hand, it's going to be a lot easier for you to stay within the tempo. Now, I stray away from this sometimes to accent certain notes, so sometimes I'll do a double down where, you know, traditionally you would be going down and up the entire time and potentially missing or, you know, not doing a double down, but we're going to be doing a double down. I also want to note that when you're playing this song, you want to feel like you're in a black and white movie. The music video is in black and white after all, and it really lends to the atmosphere of the whole song. Alright, so remember, we are in black and white like an old movie. Chord-wise, there's not a whole lot going on, but there is some fancy schmancy stuff happening. The G chord is the 1. The D chord is the 5 chord, so that all makes sense. That's just 1 to 5. How many times have we heard that? Millions. The next chord has a low note of a C sharp at the 4th fret of the A string and the 2nd fret of the D string. So that sounds like this when played together. That's actually a C sharp half diminished 7th chord if you spell it out. You have C sharp, E, which is the minor 3rd, G, which is the flat 5th, B, which is the minor 7, and then E, which is a double 3rd on top. Okay? Now this C sharp is used to lead down to C natural, but I'm going to say that this is more like an A chord. Okay? So we could say, alright, it's a C sharp diminished, but I think it's more indicative of an A chord, a secondary dominant. Okay? Now a secondary dominant is basically just a 5 of the 5. So A is the 5 of the D. So it's basically an A9 chord without the A in it. Alright? Now I know that's kind of confusing, but that's just what's going on. Right after that we hit into a C add 9, which is the 4 chord, and then into that, an F add 9, but minus the E string, the low E string. So you're basically just going to be playing 3rd fret of the A, 3rd fret of the D, open G, 1st fret of the B, first fret of the E. Alright? Very nice sounding chord. This is also a C sus4, but functionally I believe it goes to an F, which would be the flat 7 of our key center. And the flat 7 has a lot of weight that gets pulled back into the root. Just like that, alright? Think of how many songs you've heard with that in it. Another thing I want to mention about this verse guitar is on that first G, you only want to strum the low E string, and that's it, right? So that gives it a little bit of a ping pong effect between the note and the chord on the top. So like this. Gives it a little bit of separation between the lower and the high register. After cycling around twice on that verse section, we hit the first pre-chorus. And the pre-chorus goes like this. We start off with the regular old E minor chord, okay? And you want to hold it with the first and second finger on the second fret of the A and D string, just like you normally would, just like day one, first grade. And then we move on to this. You're going to take your pinky and put it on the fourth fret of the D string to make it an E minor 9, 12th grade. Immediately after that, we hit an A minor 7th chord in open position, so second fret of the D string, first fret of the B. And then we kind of hint up to a B minor. I want to say that this is kind of a B minor. With an added 6th and 11th on top. Now the reason why I'm saying B minor is because the tonality is still very minor. It still sounds very sad, so it wouldn't be a D sus4 because that would just be too happy, too major, and not really indicative of a silent type of man. All you have to do is take that same shape from the A minor 7 and move it up 2 frets. And you have that whole B minor figured out. We come back to the E chord, do the same thing with the E minor 9, so first grade to 12th grade, and then we hit this C chord. Now there's a lot going on with that C chord, so let's stop and talk about that a little bit. We have our first finger on the third fret of the A string, that is a C. We have our ring finger on the fourth fret of the D string, that's an F sharp. Now that's a tritone away, that's the sharp 11th. And then we have an open G, which is the 5th, so we're adding a sharp 4 or a sharp 11th. We're adding a 9th on top of it as well, the 3rd fret of the B string, and the open E string. It's a very beautiful sounding chord. It almost reminds me of yearning for a time that is gone. Very nostalgic feeling. It's making me want to cry. Alright, enough crying. For the second half of that C chord, we need to hit a D over a C. So we're keeping the bass note the same, but the entire chord is changing on top, right? Where the last chord was a proper C chord, this is a D over a C, and it sounds like this. Now basically how you have to handle that is have your pointer finger barred across the second fret of the G, B, and E. We're only going to be hearing the G and E strings though. Have your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B and your middle finger on the 3rd fret of the A. Okay, so this is D over C. Now that D up top should look familiar because we've played it a million times before, right? That's another first grade chord, maybe a second grade chord. Maybe this is a second grade chord, but this is beyond a grade. This is a lot more advanced than anything else we've done. Immediately following pre-chorus 1, we're greeted with verse 2, which is nearly identical to the first verse, but on the second half the guitar changes slightly. So let me play that variation. See that? Everything else is the same. So let's put a microscope under that. So we have to do this. Same thing as before. And then basically right on beat 3, we got to go B to C with our pointer and our middle finger, and we're basically completely discounting the low E string here. Watch. B, C, while holding the 2 notes on top. So you get this kind of G over B and a C add 9 type of feeling. B, C, right to D, then we do this. Now that is a little D sus4, but it's not a D sus4, it's an add 4. We have the 5th fret of the A string with the ring finger, the 4th fret of the D string with the middle, and the open G, so it gives you that sound. which leads very nicely into our C sharp half diminished, or A9 over C sharp, the secondary dominant, to the C add 9, and 4 on the F. Second pre-chorus is exactly the same, so we're not going to go over that again, but we do want to have a nice dramatic pause on that very last D over C chord, so that the dust over the horizon can settle over the desert. And after it settles, we go to an E major, to an F sharp minor, A, and 9, B, and 11, E, sus, F sharp minor, 11, A, B, E, E add 9, and then the whole thing repeats. Alright, so on the E chord, the very first one, we're strumming this 16th note rhythm. Dum ba da bum bum ba da bum ba da dum bum ba da dum ba da da dum ba da dum, right? 1 and a 2 and a 3 and ba da da bum da dum dum da da dum da da dum. And we have an E going to an E sus4 and back to an E again. Just like that. And we continue the same pattern for an F sharp minor 11, which is the 2 chord. Now the interesting thing about all these chords is we have the low E string, the open E string on the bottom of every single chord, keeping a little bit of tension in the chord progression, but it also sounds incredibly nice. And of course, as always, we have the open B and E strings on the top, ringing out through all these chords, giving it that nice alteration that's not really an alteration, just a beautiful, beautiful consonant sounding chord progression. So after that F sharp minor chord, we head up to an A chord, right, which we're going to use our ring finger, pinky, and middle to play. And this is like an E major shape, but at the 7th fret. But we're going to use these fingers instead. Now this is an A add 9 over an E. Okay? Sounds like that. And then we hit to the same shape, 2 frets higher for a B add 11. But over an E. So the progression is as follows. 1 for the E, F sharp minor, which is the 2, 4 for the A, and 5 for the B. So 1, 2, 4, 5. Goes again. Let's speed this up a little. 2, A, which is 4, 5. Then we do this. Instead of hitting an E sus4 on that very moment, we are hitting an E add 9. A nice stretchy E add 9. Now this is the 15th grade. So that's a very tough chord if you're a newbie, that's for sure. And even if you've been playing for a while, that stretch can be really tough to get. Now, what I always say about stretches is you want to have your thumb pointing pretty straight, actually. You don't want to have it like that, otherwise it's going to be a lot harder for you to angle your fingers properly. And then you have your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, pinky on the 4th fret of the D, pointer on the 1st fret of the G, and then everything else open. And you actually go to it from a regular E chord like this. So you have to make sure you're making that transition nice and swiftly. And that chord works to perfectly end that phrase, alright? Because the other, the overdub guitar that's on top, we'll be going over that, don't worry, lays out, and it just leaves room for this. And the vocals cut out as well, so it's only that chord that's ringing out through that section. Very cool. A very wise compositional move on their part, I might add. Now it appears that the Silent Man does play during this section, but it's very sparse, and the bass part, I gave away who the Silent Man was. Kill me now. It's John Myung. He's the Silent Man. He never says a word. He never says a damn thing, ever. Especially in this song, because there's not a lot of bass in it. The bass is very sparse, and honestly it sounds like there's bass swells going on underneath the root notes in the chorus. So, alright, whatever, Mr. Silent Man, do whatever you want. The next section we're going to cover is the overdub for the chorus. Now what we got to do now is get rid of this hunk of junk, and get another hunk of junk that's not just made out of wood. It's made out of some other stuff too, some other crap. You've seen this guitar before. Now check it out. This is what we're going to play for the chorus section. It's just a little overdub. It's the typical open string arpeggios, nice and glassy, middle pickup position on the Prechorus guitar, and it goes like this. Slide up, little break, arpeggiate, slide up, nice and quiet, and we just do it again. Then here, just straight up both arpeggios, and then just slide back down. You want to be really, really, really delicate with this, okay? A lot of compression, a lot of chorus, possibly doubled. You want it to sound very warbly and just nice and sparkly out in the background, right? That's the whole idea. And it really adds a lot more atmosphere to this section. It fills it in, makes it sound a little less boring than it would without it. The second half just goes like this. We keep it moving. To the second fret, 6th fret for the A chord, 8th fret for the B. Keep it moving. And then here, go back to that pattern. Alright, let's get this big hunk of wood down from here. And let's get this other sort of pseudo hunk of wood back up there. And let's head on to the bridge section. Now the bridge section is probably the hardest part by far in this song. And not probably, it definitely is. It's reminiscent of Erotomania's middle section. Start off with a D chord, sus2, B flat, and to the G, to the D. These crazy chords. Time change. Chords again. Alright, so let's break that up. The D chord is just a regular old D chord. We go to a D sus2, taking the middle finger off, put it back on, and then immediately we go into the a B flat chord, but without the 5th. It's actually a sharp 4 up at the top with the open E string. And the thing is, you could also play the A string on the bottom as well for pretty much all of these chords. I think that's the idea here. Now that A string makes everything very, very tense, especially the B flat chord. But it still sounds great. Then we come up to a G over A, to a D over A, and then a C major 7 all of a sudden, because we're opening up the B string like that. So then we go to this. This is almost like an A minor 9, alright? We have our ring finger on the 5th fret of the D, the pinky on the 5th fret of the G, the open B string, and the pointer on the 3rd fret of the high E string. This could also replace a C chord, because a C major chord on top of an A is an A minor 7. To cap off the first half, we go back up to this G major chord at the 7th, 8th, and 7th, so it's like a D chord shape at the 7th fret instead. We then head into a D over F sharp right after that, and we have to head into this sequence right after a quarter note. So that's just 2, 0, 2, 3, or F sharp E, F sharp G, open A, leading to B flat, which makes sense, that just goes stepwise, into a key change by the way, to this. That's a C sus4, which also looks oddly like that F add 9 from before, but here it is, a truly C sussy 4. Going right to a resolution, and then we got to hit all the way up here again, to the G chord over the A, to the D chord, and back into this. G over A, and then it resolves into G major for the guitar solo. Alright, so after that bridge section, we hit right into the guitar solo, which is one time through the verse progression, but it goes like this. See if you can spot the difference. There's a little tiny build-up on that C sharp, and a crescendo into the C. So just make sure that you do that. Now the solo itself is very, very, very short, so I'm going to play the entire thing at full speed for you right now. Incredibly tasteful, and probably the shortest John Petrucci guitar solo that exists. Only one time through the verse? What was he thinking? We start off with this little lick sliding from the 7th to the 9th fret on the D string, hammer the 7th to the 9th on the G, and go right to the 8th fret of the B. Alright, this is all a G pentatonic pattern. And then we go like this. Resolving into the D chord, we have the 7th fret, the 8th fret, and the 7th fret as a little hammer pull, 9th, 7th, okay, on the G string, and that resolves Basically 4, 3, 2, 1 into the D chord, and then we slide into this. Alright, so that whole lick is on top of the D chord, and we slide from the 9th to the 11th fret into the 10th fret of the B with the pointer finger, okay? So you want to be on your middle finger, pointer, ring, and then you alternate between the two. So watch that again. And then we have to do a quick slide from the 11th to the 9th with the ring finger now, changing position into the 7th position now, alright? And then resolving on that last 9th fret for that A chord, right? Now the reason why I called it an A chord before is because we have an A major arpeggio here. Right? So that's all major third, 1, and then 3, 2, 1, flat 7, but this is on the C chord, alright? So that's the 5th of the C chord. And then a really, really, really tasty lick right at the end. And we want to hit these strings very hard, double stops, starting off with the thumb and the pointer on the right hand. We have to hold the 5th and the 6th fret of the G and B respectively, pointer and middle finger, and then hammer with our ring onto the G string. Right? And you're going to pick 2 times after the hammer, and then boom. Slide from 7 to 5 to 3 down to the 2nd fret, okay? Now that's going down an F pattern, an F pentatonic pattern. Anticipating the E minor landing right on the root. Let me play it slow for you and I'll call out the chord changes as I'm moving. G, D, A, C, F. So you see how all that moves and connects just perfectly. Alright, now we come into pre-chorus number 3, which is an elongated version of what we heard before, and we have some more fancy arpeggios to handle as well. So let me play it for you. We start off with an E minor 9 and some arpeggios like this. Slide, E, right into the C, to the D, over C, B with an added 11th, E minor, C add 9, then D sus2 resolving, and then with our thumb, add the low 2nd fret, F sharp, first inversion. So let's just brush through that again. You're really just following the E, A, D, and G strings on that first arpeggio, like that. So when you get to the A minor arpeggio, use the ring and the middle finger. There's a very important reason for this, and you'll find out why in just a little bit. Right, look. And then we have to do this. You're hitting the D string, B, G, and then right into A, and then into that 7th fret pattern. Now the reason why we wanted to use our ring in our middle is so we can get our pinky in on the action for this part. And the reason why you want to use that is because we can't get that pointer finger there in time, or it'll sound very clumsily if you use any other finger. Alright, so just watch that again. E, so far we have E as the 1 chord, A minor is the 4 chord to this, I'm going to call this a B minor with a flatted 6th and an added 11th, even all these shapes as well, yes. Alright, this looks more like a D major chord, but remember, a D major on top of a B is a B minor 7, alright, so I'm going to call it that, B minor 7 over A, which is the minor 5 chord, and then E minor, which is the 1, alright, then we have the flat 6, that beautiful sounding, very melancholic type of sound. The C with the sharp 11th and the added 9th. We have the D over C, which is just a 5 chord. Then we hit the dominant 5 chord, the big 5, with that B shape. It's an incomplete bar chord. Going to 1, to the flat 6, and flat 7. With the first inversion on the bottom. So chorus 2 is basically identical to chorus 1. So we have the E, to the F sharp minor, to the A, Alright, so a crucial ending there. There's a little tag that happens on the last silent man part. So let me play it from the beginning of the progression. Alright, check this out. We got the F sharp minor, we got the A to B, A over C sharp with this shape, which is the 9th fret of the low E string with the middle finger, pointer on the 7th fret of the D, ring finger on the 9th fret of the G, and the pinky on the 10th fret of the B. That makes an A over C sharp, or a first inversion A major chord, which then goes into a B, okay, so that's the 5 chord again, then a regular old C sharp minor with some mutes in between going to the B, and then A sus 2 to F sharp minor at 11, just all 2, 2, 2, and then right into E. A beautiful way to resolve out of that progression. And also a beautiful way to handle a tag. We have a first inversion 4 chord, okay? So we're still doing 4, 5. 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1. Very nice sounding chords, beautiful arrangement. Everything is just absolutely perfect about this song. And the music video is in black and white, so let's not forget about that either. Alright, so thank you very much, everybody. I know this was a shorter episode of the Let's Learn a Wake guitar series, but hey, not every song can be a 10-minute bruiser, okay? Just like the last one. Or a 7-minute bruiser like the one before that. Or a 5.5-minute bruiser like the one before that. Or whatever. Whatever it is. A lot of Dream Theater songs are very long, they're very complicated. This was a nice break for me. You know what? A very nice break. And you're going to have a little surprise when I do my playthrough video as well. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give you a little something you haven't seen before. Or maybe you have seen before, but whatever. Either way, it's going to be a nice little treat, alright? I'm going to do a... I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. You're going to have to find out. And stick around till next time, okay? Remember to support the channel at www.subscribestar.com/RomanOva Music. You can also go on the website. I have my original music up there. You can buy some stuff. Buy some stuff for me. Support this kind of stuff, alright? Would you? Ah, just kidding. Actually, not kidding at all. Please support. It's very important. Alright, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one.